For this one, what we were thinking about is that maybe this time, because you're much better than us, you could do the intro of the podcast. so it's quite simple. It's welcome to our Chase Talk. We don't really have a catchphrase. Maybe you could help us finding a catchphrase, like a really
don't get talk. No, that doesn't work.
No, what we say is World Chase Talk, chasing the best stories.
Nice.
That's
nice.
actually quite
Listen
nice.
to you.
So yeah. Maybe you could start saying like, welcome to our Chase Talk. We're chasing the best stories. I'm done, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to keep it.
Yeah, and also the thing is you can do that clever podcast thing where you keep in all the chat beforehand. Like it's all really meta and it's like, oh, is this thing on? Yeah, but yeah, I'll do that for you. Welcome to World Chase Talk, where they chase the best stories from the world of chase tag or World Chase Tag. I've actually messed that up. This is why this is not my podcast. But I am into my second beer already. I'm Dan Dawson, Chase Tag commentator, and I am joining, I'm not joined by, I am joining two very, very sexy French men who do this new podcast, which you should be listening to. In fact, I'm preaching to the choir. You already are listening to it. Thomas and Loic. So, right, it's your podcast. I've done my bit now. You asked me to do the intro. I've done it. So this is your ship. You steer it.
So if some people actually don't know Dan, I mean, if you are on our podcast, you probably know a lot about Chase Tag, so you probably know about Dan. But he's pretty much the MVP of every single event until now. And probably for the next couple
I've listened to your first two podcasts.
He's the voice of World Chase Tag.
You say this about everybody you have on. Oh, is this guy is an MVP?
No, MVP now. I'm really careful about the word MVP. Obviously, we are inviting people that we think are good at what they do.
You're the MVP of commentators. But then there is the MVP of cleaning the quad, the MVP of setting up the quad, the MVP of the podcast.
There's a lot of MVPs.
Exactly.
That's what we're saying. Yeah, that's what we're saying. I mean, to be fair, this whole thing has worked out because I am very close by and it is quite convenient. So, I mean, all I'm saying is don't expect too much.
At the same time, I feel like it's a good opportunity for the people to know a little bit more about you, because obviously they know the players, they know, like all of the visible people.
Yeah, we have the stories about them in the shows. We talk about the athletes, you talk about them, we introduce them, they have interviews, but we never really had an interview or presentation of you in the shows.
No, I mean, to be fair, I kind of like keeping out of the limelight. I mean, look at me, right? If you're listening on audio, you can't, and it's a blessing. But I have waddled into a world surrounded by younger, fitter, more attractive, just more gregarious, impressive people. It's like the Hunchback of Notre Dame just stumbling into this world. Every time I come to Chase Tag, it is one of the most emasculating experiences I could possibly know, because I'm just surrounded by all these young, beautiful, talented, athletic people. So yeah, it's a sobering thought, but yeah, I'm trying to fix that.
So can you tell us more about yourself, obviously, and how did you join World Chase Tag? What was the beginning of your relationship with World Chase Tag?
Okay, so I always wanted to do sport, right? I wanted to do sport. As a kid, I realized that I was never going to be good enough to do sport for a living. Football was my thing. Football and cricket, which...
Soccer.
Yeah. They were my sports. I was never going to be good enough at them. I loved playing them. I until not longer, I still played them. But I was never going to be good enough to make a living out of it. But it sort of dawned on me that maybe I could make a living watching them, talking about them, writing about them, anything.
That's the dream of being a kid, and you want to make a living just playing video games.
Yeah.
You don't want to make them, you just want to play them.
Yeah, exactly. Although I know somebody who did do the whole video games testing for a job, and it's the most boring job you've ever come across.
That's what I heard as well.
Yeah, it's like
you have to play the beta versions that are not working, all the bugs and stuff.
Well, and also, even if you've got a game that's working, it's like, okay, here's this game that you love. I don't want you to play it. What I want you to do is go to the edge of the map and press this combination of buttons and and forever just to see if something breaks. It must take all the joy out of playing those. But yeah, that's I wanted to do sport. I figured out, I mean, I went to university, right? I went and did English and philosophy, which sounds, yeah. I mean, basically, to be honest, Thomas, I went to university for 3 years to get wasted. I wanted to put off the real world.
That's why we do the interview at the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to be honest, I succeeded, Loic. I succeeded in that, but it did come to
you succeeded at getting drunk or the university?
Oh, getting wasted. Getting wasted. Yeah. I mean, university was all I got by, but I did spend 3 years getting wasted, and towards the end of it, I had my mum on the phone just going, look, what are you going to do for a job? It turns out, as impressive as an English and philosophy degree sounds, it's not very good for getting a job, lads, I'll be honest. And I'd spent all that time at uni, like watching the football, listening to on the radio. The radio was my big thing. So I thought maybe I could do that. So I quickly went off and did another uni course for a quick year, got into radio. And I wanted to do sport all the time. For years, I was doing news. It was hardcore news. It was stabbings. It was shootings. It was council
Welcome
cuts.
to London, see.
Yeah.
Welcome to London.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this was elsewhere, outside of London. But I was doing that. But every opportunity I got, if I got to do sport, I'd do sport. And because I knew it, I understood it, I'd loved it all my life, I was all right at it. You know, not everybody who works in news knows about sport. There's going to be sports stories. So whenever there was an opportunity, I'd do it. I never followed that dream of being a football commentator. That didn't quite work out. It was working out. I got down to London. I'd done my big thing. I was like, oh yeah, I've made it here. I'm working on a big radio station going all across the country. I'm going to be doing football, cricket. Yeah, the company got bought. I got made redundant. So I was traveling all over the UK, sleeping in like youth hostels and stuff, just doing the odd day of work here and there, wherever I could get some money. And the sort of hero on a white horse that came in to save me was the majestic, the beautiful, the indescribable and incomparable sport of darts. Yeah. Les fléchettes. Am I right?
Yeah, perfect.
I am right. Yeah, look, I mean,
that fits the character of like a sport played in a bar.
Yeah.
That's just like the proper trajectory of like.
Hey, look, I had suddenly found a sport that I kind of felt like you. I'd seen it on the TV. You wouldn't have seen it on the TV. You never have darts on the TV in France. No. That's changing, by the way. There are a couple of French players who are really good. You're going to start seeing it on L'Equipe and that.
And L'Equipe will be broadcasting World Chase Tag starting April 2023.
Yeah, I mean, it's a race to see who gets on first, whether it's darts or chase tag. And to be honest, I'd like to be doing both. It might happen. Right. But I didn't know a great deal about it. Fell in love with it. Right. World Championship, 3,000 people in a room, massive party. And the beautiful thing about it is that darts is normal people, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I know people will denigrate darts and say like it's a silly game, it's a pub game. It's like this takes incredible skill. And I tell you what, it's skill while you've got 3,000 people behind you, and sometimes as much as 10,000. 10,000 people in a room.
I mean, every activity, like even pool or anything, that can just be like a fun thing you do as friends in a bar. But you can bring it to the very high level.
Yeah, of course
anything
you can.
Be brought to
anybody. Just because it's not in that traditional athletic sense doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't better than 99.9% of people that do
Actually,
it.
it reminds me a little bit of esports, because for a lot of people, it's not that athletic, so they're like,
esports is not a sport.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But it's like about precision. It's about like making the right choice at the correct time.
Hey, look, if archery, if javelin, if they're sports, and I think we all agree that they're probably sports, darts is a sport. It's just on a different scale, right? And look, you haven't been to the darts.
It can be a sport, even though that's not like the highest physical activity.
Yeah, of course.
Like chess is a sport. And so if
Is
chess,
chess a sport?
if chess is a sport, e-sport is a sport. Like
That's a sport. That's a good question.
it is.
don't
It
know.
is considered a sport, at least in France.
Okay. I mean, look, I used to play chess as a kid. Number one for my county for a little while. Thank you very much.
Gang.
Yeah.
We'll find a newspaper article.
I beat a grandmaster once. Yeah. How about that?
Maybe we should play some chess at some point.
I mean, I haven't played for a long while. How does that horse one move? Is that the one that goes diagonally? No, okay. But yeah, so anyway, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, anyway, did darts, been doing that. Like, I've thrown my lot in with that. I travel all over the world doing darts. I'm like one of the commentators on darts. This year alone, I mean, we're just in March, aren't we?
We're just like the 1st of March or 2nd of March.
1st of March. I've already been in Bahrain, Copenhagen. I just came from Germany. I've spent a load of days all over the UK doing various things on the TV, online, things like that. So that's what I do. So, and that's what I was doing. Chase tag, I didn't even know existed until I was going to go on holiday with my girlfriend at the time. And I'd be like, the darts was going all right. And I'd saved up a load of money. I was going to go on the holiday, like the biggest holiday I've ever known, the Maldives.
No, I was going to ask where you were going to ask.
Ooh, yeah, the Maldives, man.
Romantic.
Oh, amazingly romantic. And we broke up the night before.
Not romantic.
yeah, less romantic.
Not romantic. Nobody went on that holiday. And all of a sudden I had like 2 weeks to fill. And somebody gave me a bell just out of the blue and said, I understand you're at a loose end and you've got a really expensive holiday to pay for that nobody's gone on. Do you want to go to York Hall and do this new sport thing?
You know, I want to say something. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know,
Yeah.
you had
I mean,
to break up.
at that point, Thomas, I wasn't feeling like that, but I did want to kind of keep busy.
But who put you in touch with World Chase Tag?
I think, I'm not even sure, it's somebody, because it was on Channel 4 in the UK,
Yeah.
and I think somebody who worked on that had worked on the darts and had heard me or knew somebody, and they said, look, if you've got any commentators, we're looking for a commentator. So yeah, when they approached me, Damien and Christian, the brothers, they weren't that sure about it. I'm not sure they were that keen on the idea. They're like, who's this guy? Like, why do we need somebody else to come in and like chat about this sport that we've made and we've got onto the telly when this guy doesn't know anything about it? And to be honest, they're kind of right, but they were amazing. Like, they were so helpful and support, just explaining the whole thing to me. I'd gone from zero to within...
Thomas would say like Christian and Damien are the MVPs.
Oh, yeah. He does say that a lot, doesn't he? He says that a lot,
they are.
almost to the point that it means nothing.
To be fair, I love the guy, like Christian and Damien, I love them. And
they're amazing.
They're like the kindest persons, and they have like a clear vision of what they want to do with World Chase Tag, and that's amazing.
I would like to come back on this. You guys are probably my top 3, so obviously I will say nice things about you. Like,
But they're incredible. I've never really met anybody like those two, and like even they were telling me they went to like some big conference with like people who the other week in where was it, like Croatia or something? It's always Croatia with them.
Croatia.
Where they had like, there's the guy who does the Premier League football streaming rights in Asia and Africa, and they had a guy from the NFL and all this stuff, and then they had them, and it was like, well, all of these guys who work in these multi-billion-pound sports, they're all interested in chase tag because they can't understand. They made this game in their back garden and now it's on the TV. It is a ridiculous story. And it's a ridiculous story. The amount of people I tell when they say, where are you going this weekend? I'm going to do World Chase Tag. And their first question is, what the hell is that?
Yeah, but then if you just show a picture of it, most people are like, I've seen that once on Facebook, on YouTube. I've seen it.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, they do. They sort of go, what the hell is that? What, tag? Like an actual tag? And then they go, oh no, I have seen that. Yeah, it did look pretty good. It's so mad, and the fact that they've created this thing is astonishing. I've never met anybody who's done anything like that, but they were really supportive. They helped me. I'd gone from zero knowledge,
Zero to MVP.
Yeah, I zero to MVP. That's what you can call this episode.
like a
you can
From
call
zero
every
to MVP.
episode that. Thomas.
no, like a poet would say, started from the bottom. Now
We're here. Yeah, now we're here. But I had to go on YouTube. I remember when I was like a teenager, when I was in uni getting wasted, right? They had the Run London.
Wasted chase tag WCT.
That's Do not get wasted and do chase tag, guys, or any kind of parkour. There's a responsible message for you. But they had I think it was Run London. They called it. It was on Channel 4. It's the first time we'd seen.
Oh, Jump London.
Jump London
With Sébastien Foucan.
Yeah.
MVP of parkour. We love him.
Oh, now he is.
But to be honest, he is really nice. So.
Oh yeah. Where is he in the MVP rankings, Thomas?
He's MVP because he's a founder of.
Yeah. I mean, he's up the top, right?
I would say different category.
A different category. Yeah. Like
I
there are
can't help
7 billion MVPs on this planet.
No, I don't think
that's a self-development thing. Like every one of you listening is the MVP of something. You just maybe don't know what it is, but we'll help you find it.
Is this something to a self-help podcast?
It is.
I do not agree with this. I can't help it if around me it happens that there are a lot of amazing people. So I have
You're the MVP of attracting good people.
No. I might be the MVP of watching Canadian people, but that's
Hey,
all.
look, I tell you what, we haven't got enough time in this podcast to talk about how much this Frenchman likes putting tape on parkour athletes, ripping the tape off them.
I should have taken like videos of that.
Oh, and all the while maintaining this really sort of intense but sensitive eye contact.
I think like every athlete that's gonna watch this, please tell us in the comments how much you liked it when he put the tape on your chest.
Yeah, you see,
please do it.
When the first
Maybe
few
the
times,
most commented video on the channel.
the first few times I liked it, I got quite uncomfortable towards the end, and so did everybody else, apart from Thomas. He was so into it. He was dans le zone, as the French say. But yeah, I watched so many parkour videos. Like, and I had to go from zero knowledge. Just thinking back to Jump London 15 years ago, where I just saw Sébastien Foucan and all his pals just running around London. Like, that's not given me a great deal of knowledge. And I'm still, like, I'm not embedded in the parkour community at all. I love this sport. I think everybody involved in it is absolutely incredible. As athletes, they're so like engaging and confident and energetic and fun, and they enjoy it. And do you know what? I come back to the darts thing. Most of them, they're ordinary people. They've got jobs. They've got day jobs. They're normal, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And that is it, particularly nowadays, where you look at a lot of sport. The sports I grew up loving, whether it's football or cricket or whatever, right? Any professional sport, it gets to a certain level, but particularly football. That's the real example for soccer. But I tell you, well, NFL's the same over here. NFL's the same over here. We're in America now, obviously, but NFL's the same. The money in it is so enormous. These players are groomed from teenagers, before they were teenagers, small kids. It's like, you're going to be great, you're going to be a millionaire. Some of them are millionaires before they even set foot on a pitch, right? They have no experience of what it's like to be a normal person at all. They're completely withdrawn, removed from normal life. And so seeing ordinary people with real lives going up there on a big stage in darts or on the quad in chase tag and doing extraordinary things that most people will never be able to do in their lives. Yeah. I love it. That's what sport's about.
That's one thing, like, coming back to Sébastien Foucan. I worked with him a little bit. He came to my gym for a workshop. And he was saying, like, if you go to any parkour gym, parkour community, even chase tag gyms and communities, you'll see people that will be like, I don't jump far enough. I don't have enough jump power. I don't have enough upper body strength or anything, because they're just like, it's just the Flash talking to Superman being like, I'm not running fast enough. But like, compared to the the physical level of every
average people,
person playing chase tag competitively is insanely high, and people will be like, I'm not that good, I'm not that fast.
And you know what? I think, more than what anybody thinks of my commentary on my work or anything like that, I think that's maybe what I really do bring to the world of chase tag, because when I do walk in there, they can look at me and go, do you know what? I am pretty good. And in some ways, that makes me the MVP, Loic. Doesn't it, Thomas?
Dan MVP Dawson.
Spitting facts.
So I would like to do a thing. I don't know if we should do it now or not.
I have other questions as well.
But okay.
You're not
so
taping it.
Actually,
to me.
it wasn't a question. I would like to, with you, take some times and maybe like think about all of the best moments you had, commentating chase tag. So it could be like during the games and during the
quad,
competition,
outside the quad.
and also like outside of the quad. Like
Basically, what would be like, because internet loves like lists. So what is your top 3 moments of chase tag?
top 3. That's hard. That's really hard. But
That's-
On and off the quad.
I mean, they're kind of general ones. I'm not sure that I've got loads of like really specific moments. I mean, the first tournament I went to, it was kind of like when I went to York Hall. I'd seen like some of the videos. Obviously, I'd been religiously watching them to try and get as much into my brain and understand it as much as I could. But to actually be there and see these guys, look, I didn't know anybody, man. Like, I knew the brothers. I got to know like a couple of people, but like it took me. I don't know. I'm not sure when I started remembering Thomas's name. I think it was probably about our 5th time we'd met. Like, I'm rubbish at remembering people's names, man.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
a lot.
rubbish too. Like, I feel you.
If you ever see me, and I don't know, I'm giving this away now, but if you see me at Chester going, "All right, mate, how you doing?" Yeah, that means I've forgotten the name.
Do you know his name, but do you know mine?
George? Loic, come on, man. Yeah, I know you two. I've spent the last 2 days in the same small room with you. If I don't know your names, I've got a real
We
problem.
spent the last 2 days watching Thomas put tape on people's chests and be like rubbing it to make sure that
we stop?
it stays warm. And
That
No, but the
is
problem-
that is the
the-
kind
wait,
of
wait, wait,
experience
let
that
me-
bombs you. as a
I'm
group.
not sure. I'm not sure if it's making everything worse or better, but I'm gonna try.
It's gonna make it
the
worse.
problem is that if you don't tape it correctly, first of all, it can fall.
I know
Second
that's
thing-
why you need to put
second
multiple
thing-
layers and just
second-
rub it to make sure that the skin get contact with the glue.
And the thing, what you see there, that Thomas is not taking issue with the fact that yes, this did happen. He's like, this is the reason. You have to understand. It needs to be done. It's the passion that I like. It's that French passion. I love it. So yeah, look, we've established that. But yeah, okay, we're gonna do. You want to list things. Look, the first.
Yeah,
the
we don't have
first
to do
one-
list like
the first tournament.
like
I mean,
key moments for you that you remember
first-
off the top of your head.
I mean, one of the funniest things that happened was the entire time as I'm leading up to that first gig, right? All I'm getting,
after your breakup.
after I'd thrown myself into chase tag to deal with the grief, all I'm getting is World Chase Tag, Marrero Gang, Marrero Gang, Marrero Gang. These are the guys to beat. They even put out a handy little video explaining why they are better than everybody else in
That
the
wasn't
world.
the title. The title was, and I love Greg and Kieran and everything, so shout out to you guys. But the title was why Marrero Gang is the best team ever and why they will never be beaten.
Hey, it's amazing.
Aged like milk. That's all I have to
My
say.
God. And I'm not sure they've won a game since.
No, they won games.
They
They won. I'm pretty sure they won games. And they went to,
I mean, not many.
No, but they went through like a whole like athlete living, rebuilding the team,
Yeah,
injuries.
to be
They've
fair,
been
that
really
was,
unfortunate
yeah.
with injuries and everything. But
Yes, I feel sorry for them, but ultimately it's still funny. And that's the main
like-
thing, Loic.
looking back, it is very funny, and I'm sure Greg and everyone in Marrero would like appreciate it.
We
as
love
well.
you guys still.
Hubris.
They are coming into the podcast as well, but maybe not. We're gonna have to record them before we publish this one.
Oh, no. I mean, to be fair, I regularly remind this to Greg. Like, Greg Ball
Greg is the MVP of English English terms.
I guess that's just my evening tonight.
He is just an amazing guy.
Look, Greg Ball, not only is he an incredible athlete, he is one of the
He's really nice.
nicest
Yeah.
and most amazing guys I've ever met. Again, look, more people in chase tag, they're so lovely. I love Greg to bits, but I also do like ripping the piss out of him, and it amuses me. And Marrero Gang just did not do Marrero Gang things. I kind of feel responsible because they never ever lost anything until I turned up, and then it all went wrong.
You're the black cat of Marrero Gang.
Well, do you know what though? Do you know what? That tournament is where the Americans all of a sudden started winning. It's when United won the whole thing. The French arrived, and
To some extent, like the English teams, they don't have access to a quad right now compared
Yeah,
to the
it makes
French,
such a
and the
difference.
US is starting to build up. China is getting strong as well.
but I think that's that tournament.
That's
My
a
first
turning
tournament
point.
was a turning point because all of a sudden the French are arriving, the Americans are arriving, the dominant force in England and in World Chase Tag dropped away dramatically.
I would say that maybe it's the turning point because it's the moment where chase tag was brought to TV, and like suddenly a lot of people started to like taking it more seriously. So then you're not competing alone with your friends, because I know that most of the UK teams, they know each other, etc. But then you're competing with like other countries, and
That's a beautiful arc for Marrero Gang, like being like the first winners like 3 times in a row of the World Championship, falling down because like injuries, people leaving the team, having to rebuild, like having to rethink the way of playing because people like came up with new strategies that maybe they didn't anticipate. If they can rise up to the top
that
again,
would be
that's
really
that's
cool.
an
That
amazing
would be
story.
a really cool story.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it would be an incredible story. But that's, do you know what?
There are some of the people that love the game the most, like them, Eugen.
All of them, everybody involved in Marrero, but particularly Marrero Gang, because I've had a lot to do with them. I love them. I think they're incredible. And I also, that's one of the things. I've worked in sport for a long while and covered lots of different sports. I've covered the World Badminton Championships, despite knowing absolutely nothing about badminton. Obviously, I do darts. I've done tennis. I did a tennis tournament, right, in Birmingham in England. It's a big one they do before Wimbledon. It's the only tennis tournament I've ever covered. I didn't see any tennis. They put me in a little room out the back, and it was before we didn't have even a screen of any of the action. I mean, I still got to interview Maria Sharapova in person. I've met loads of big tennis people, but I have never been in a sport where you can see it evolve and grow before your eyes. Every single time you get to a new tournament, something has changed. Tactically, technically, something has changed. It's like watching bamboo grow. It just happens so quickly.
The sport grows that fast. Like, just in the last 2 days, we may have a new quad in France in the next few weeks. We have a new event next week. So we're just in the last 2 days, like, and I know the US is getting busy with it. China, Kyle is doing an amazing work there.
I remember
And it's just like
you
with the teams
talking.
coming in. And just finishing because I'm cutting you off because I'm the MVP of cutting people off. China have a team of people coming from like the Chinese SWAT team, training chase tag. They may bring like a whole different way of training and playing.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that's the thing. You see, I was talking, Loic, about the honourable and noble thing of the sport itself, the tactics and everything. But what you've gone is gone straight for the money, straight for the bunt.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they're buying. Oh yeah,
I
I'm
am the
flogging
MVP
quads
of
left,
money.
right, and centre, mate. Oh
I
yeah,
am the
oh
MVP of
yeah.
money.
I'm buying a yacht.
What I was going to say is that I remember like really well. So when it was the word like WCT 5, I was actually filming, the teams. And the first game, it was like Fat against Fata Morgana, if I'm not wrong. And I remember so I wasn't facing the quad, obviously, so I had the quad in the back. And when the game started, everything was just so fast. And I remembered like the wind, from the player running and then feeling all of the perimeter like just shaking. And I was just like, wow, since the last competition, I feel like we are reaching such a new step. And that's why I'm so excited
It's not
for the
only
Worlds this year.
the athletes' tactics and everything, but also like the stakes are much higher. Like now it's a continental championship. You know it's on TV. You know it's gonna make millions of views. You know you get access to World Championship, but you're gonna have to go to London. It's like even for the people playing, the incentive is that much higher to like give everything you can.
But like the tension and the speed and everything is just getting like more and more and more intense and
I-
so
And the cash
quickly.
prize, if we're talking about money.
Well, okay, but that that's the thing that I don't want to get too like. I've talked about the noble aspects of the sport. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. About the way that the sport has evolved. It's changing as a sport tactically and everything else. It's fascinating. It's so interesting. But ultimately, the only thing that makes it successful long term is if this starts paying properly, right? And that is the biggest riddle to solve. Because when I mentioned those guys the brothers going to the big conference, all these massive multi-billion-dollar industries, right? Unless it can start paying properly, and chase tag athletes, we've seen some of the best chase tag athletes not be involved, walk away from it because they've got other things to do. Because I love chase tag, I love playing it, it's great, I can go on the telly and compete and win something, but where's that get me? It doesn't make me money.
I think that's like the next step. Like
is.
now it's on TV, and it's like on a regular basis on TV. And I know lots of people behind the scenes that people may not know. Like shout out to Johnny, Mike, people that most people don't know about. Even athletes that they would see them in the backstage or something. They
We
would.
need to get Mike on this podcast, man.
Yeah,
Have you ever sat and talked to
will
Mike?
have Mike, and we will be asking Johnny as well. But like people behind the scenes are working that hard to make it happen. That sponsorship deals happen, teams get built up, quads happen, and then at some point, like also allow teams to find sponsors of their own. Like if you see, like I'm coming back to soccer, but Real Madrid, they sign their own sponsorship deals because they're that big that they can sign their own sponsorship.
Yeah, I mean, let's aim realistically first, Loic.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, World Chase Tag is not going to be Real Madrid, but
It will be.
I like it.
I mean that's
Money.
what
With confiance. Yeah.
we're working
Yeah.
for this, but,
But that's-
I feel like the next step, and I keep saying this, but it would be to have like regular content, and it goes, through doing live events, maybe doing like leagues, and that kind of thing that would,
It's probably easier for us. Like I know World Chess Tag is working on it because like that's the vision World Chess Tag had from the beginning, to build leagues where people can plug the TV, watch it every week or every other week or something. And that's when it's easier to get sponsorship deals because you're not signing a one-off event. You're signing like a whole season or 6 months or something.
And
That's pushing the sports further. And that's what we need to get on to like really push that. Where you can get professional athletes.
You don't want to reduce you don't want to reduce sport. Sport is a beautiful thing, right? Sport is fun, it's interesting, it's primal. People understand sport. You've got a winner, you've got a loser, there's a competition, whatever the parameters you have, sport people get. That's why it's so popular. But if it's going to work long term, it needs to find a way of making that pay. And the internet has been, the internet has been what has launched Chase Tag. Chase Tag wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the internet. But now it has to go to another level, and that's
But
different.
it went from like back garden to a small venue to York Hall to national television to Continental Championship on the US TV
True.
to potential like live stream events in 2023. And it's like it's like as an athlete, I completely understand, and I'm like, it is frustrating. You want to like get paid for it, and we are working as hard as we can to push that thing to happen. But things like that take time.
Yeah.
And I feel like only in the past 2 or 3 years, so much has been done to go towards like fucking professional league and professional competitions, and that is surely like the biggest priority on World Chess Tag mind right now to like make it.
It all costs money. It all costs money, and that money's got to come from somewhere. Look, I want this to be as successful as it possibly can, and I think there's loads of amazing people involved, and I believe them. I think they've got the passion, they've got the know-how, but it is also a very difficult thing to do. Look, if it was easy to create a sport in your back garden and turn it into a worldwide phenomenon where everybody gets paid loads, everybody would be doing it. But it's difficult. But it's exciting because I've not seen anything like this get this far.
There's everything into it. Like everyone played tag as a kid. Everyone can relate to the feeling of being chased or chasing. The format of it, like you can watch it on TV, but you could just put a 20-second chase on Instagram, on TikTok, or anything. Like you can watch it on YouTube. Like everything about it is just very catchy.
Do you? I mean, I don't want this to turn into some like because I've listened to like a lot of parkour kind of content and podcasts and stuff, and I tell you what, I mean, maybe it's a result of a lot of parkour athletes, you know, being so active on social media, and that's an income stream for them. But Jesus Christ, do they talk in marketing speak? The amount of time that they go, well, I'm trying to build my brand, and I think that this is kind of a great direction I want to go. I'm like, good God, do the somersault again. But I do think that one of the things that doesn't hold chase tag back, but that idea about identity, teams having identities, and that's what attracts sponsors. We've got so many characters, so many people who are interested.
We need to build stories and
stories. Exactly.
To be honest, that's also one of the reasons why we did start the podcast, is that I felt like we had so many great, you know, like characters and people inside of the chase tag community.
Exactly.
You're going to be the MVPs of celebrities.
But I tell you, I reckon one of the problems we've got, teams change month by month. Player moves from Team X to Team Y to Team Z. Like that. Oh, hang on, Nick. Weren't you in they need an identity, and that in conventional sport.
Some teams have it, like Apex, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Some of them already walked, like refined their
know-
whole, like Eugen as well.
Do you know what links those teams? They're in the same place. And I'm not saying you need to have the Denver Broncos, the London whatever. But
Sometimes what's easy to understand is easy to remember, and it's easy to sell. And that's just...
They've got an identity. The teams don't change. Yes, you're going to have big, high-profile moves. I mean, look, one of the most interesting stories in chase tag over the last few months is Amos going off to Hollywood Freerunners from Apex.
Amos is a fucking celebrity, and he will be on the show.
Oh, now that man! If I had 3 letters to describe that man,
Subscribe to the podcast to listen to it.
That's not 3 letters, though.
no, they wouldn't be it. That's too many letters. It would be PVM in a different order. But I think you need the teams have to have an identity. People have to relate to those teams, so they know. When I say Hollywood Freerunners, you think Carl Soderman. That works. But if Carl Soderman goes off and plays with, I don't know, Rise, then all of a sudden things kind of
like even Hollywood is a very good example. They're not called Los Angeles something. They're Hollywood Freerunners.
They're a team of stuntmen from Hollywood. When somebody who knows nothing about chase tag asks me about who's playing it, I go, there is a team of stuntmen from Hollywood who play this sport. And they go, that sounds pretty cool.
There is a team of Chinese SWAT playing chase tag. That's just like...
Yeah, you need an identity. You need a brand. I don't want to get all chase tag podcasting.
Yeah, we're going to move on because that's not the subject we want to talk.
Do you know what? We're still doing a list, weren't we? Here you go. So first one.
For 25 minutes
First
later.
one. I'm so rubbish at this. So yeah, first event. Second one, the Backyard Flight Club. Right, that was wild. Round Damien.
Organized by Greg from our gang shootout.
Yeah, what a legend he is. Still barely won a game since he was 3-time world champion. So them's a fact. But absolutely amazing. Obviously, they changed the format so it was like an individual tournament, but it was just cool. And Damon and Christian have got a nice...
Do you remember who won that?
It was Lando.
I think it was
He
Lando.
was on the podcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just
The
some
guy is
stuff
just
promotion.
flexing everyone. Like.
Yeah. I mean, I bet he didn't chat as much nonsense as I.
We had Lando and Jason. The funny thing is Lando came on the call and he forgot what it was about.
Okay, yes, yeah, I heard about this, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, but top moment in World Chase Tag and the entire history of the thing, I would say, without any shadow of a doubt, the one that sticks in my mind, the one that when I go to sleep at night after a night of Chase Tag and I think...
I'm scared
Can I guess?
I'm scared of what you're
Can I
going to
guess?
say.
Yeah.
Is it something on the quad?
Sort of.
Like, is it the match points when Carol won for World Chase Tag for.
I mean, that is an amazing.
I remember how you were shouting in the mic and everything like
The
that.
emotion
Yeah.
was amazing. That's what sport's
But
about,
that's
right?
not. But that's not
That's
the
not
one.
what
I
you're
don't
gonna
think.
No, but that's a great one. That's when the emotion of that point. You're right. You know, we've talked about how, you know, this isn't paying the bills for these guys, but it matters because sport does matter because they care, and that emotion, people do relate to that. People invest in it. People care. It's compelling drama. And as amazing as that moment was, and to be honest, I probably should have picked that out maybe ahead of the Backyard Flight Club, but it still wouldn't knock the top spot, knock it off the top spot, because the thing that always sticks in my mind as the most memorable, the most special moment to me in Chase Tag is when Thomas got hit in the head with a shoe.
I knew it. It's been like a couple of minutes where I'm like, I'm sure he's
I
gonna
wanted
say
to make
that.
another
I'm
guess
sure
of
he's
like
gonna say
when
that.
Thomas called you an MVP as well.
Yeah.
Sure. I fucking knew it because you had
We
your
just watched the
chin,
video
you know,
again.
I'd be
Oh.
like, I'm gonna say something stupid.
I watch that video every day.
Alright, so if we just keep moving on, because we had a few questions we wanted to ask.
Actually, it was
okay,
actually-
save your honor right now.
was,
Go for it.
No, it was sad because so this happened, and it was from someone from my city, so I feel betrayed. But
Mathieu.
the weirdest thing is that after that thing, when I did go back to the backstage, I had people that I never heard about. Like first time I was seeing them, they were like, "Oh, I got your video."
Shoe guy.
And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "What video?" And they were like, "Look, you're taking a shoe in the face," and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, we'll just show it on the podcast so people. But if you're listening on Spotify, that's a heads up to go watch it on YouTube as well. Give us one more view. Moving on, like obviously before doing this podcast, we thought of like a few subjects we wanted to touch on.
And now you've got no time to do it.
We have all the time in the world. We can cut what you're saying. We can release a longer version, like unedited version if we want. I'm kind of getting drunk even though I only had one drink.
Yeah. We'll get more.
Yeah, I'm gonna get another one. So we talked all things World Chase Tag. What's striking to us is like, as you said, you don't come from the world of World Chase Tag or parkour even. You come from the world of sports. Obviously, you love sports in any forms. What in your eyes makes a good commentator? Like, it's a very like big question, but even here talking, like I'm sure people listening would agree, like the way you speak, the way you create your sentences and everything. It's amazing listening to you. Like, just,
Man, look, it's so subjective.
you don't want to say it. You're like, nah, I'm not that good. But you, like the way you say story, you tell stories and everything. It's just compelling. Like people just want to listen.
I think, look, it's so subjective. Look, it doesn't matter what you do, right? If you're doing something like I'm doing, it is a purely subjective thing. It's not sport. It's not sport where you can go, well, you won, so you're good.
But do you have like, for example, I'm gonna come back to something you said during one of the chases, when Seth was chasing or evading, and you were talking about like the pentagram or whatever, like.
Oh, the
like,
Dark Lord of Chase Tag.
Yeah. Chase Tag. How do you come up with this? Like, is it some things you prepare and you have some ideas and you write up? Or is it something that comes in the moment and you have like just a big vocabulary and you can just pull from?
No, I think you get ideas, and the more you do stuff, whatever sport you're doing, whether it's chase tag or whether I'm doing the darts, like sometimes you'll imagine, because you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it all the time. Like sport is my life, so I've been thinking about chase tag for weeks in the build up to this. I think about big darts tournaments for all the bloody time. I'm always working on it. And you imagine, like, oh, what if that happened? What if that happened? Like in the same way that anybody's a fan of sport, and you think, well, now the other thing is, it's like, well, if that did happen, what the hell would I say? And you get ideas about people, and like I think the sort of Seth Wang Dark Lord of Chase Tag thing, I think basically he'd said something like that in an interview, and that sort of idea just stuck. And I genuinely can't remember. I don't think I'd planned any lines. I tell you, the lines that you plan are at the end of tournaments. Yeah. Like if you want to have, and I'm not very good at it. It's something I'm still trying to learn. And certainly in the world of darts, where I do most of my work, Like, there are loads of commentators I look up to, and they're ones who, something big happens, somebody becomes a world champion, and they've got to have that little moment where they win the title, or they're lifting the trophy or something, that's going to be immortalized on film. And if you don't say something that at least reflects it, it doesn't have to be poetry. I'm not flipping Shakespeare. I'm not Wordsworth. You can only say something that kind of goes along with it. If you can think of a line or something, then yeah, keep it in the bank. But I'll be sat there making a sandwich or whatever, and suddenly a line might come in. I might
Just like walking back.
yeah, and it's like, oh, I'll bank that because I might need that at some point. And then you hope that when something happens that's relevant, you go, oh, there's something there. There's like a file somewhere with something I could use.
Like, it's running all the time, but during the competition, you have a process, like you're taking notes. Sometimes you even correct the people doing like the scorecard or like the group tables. You're like, no, that's not correct. Like, walk us through your process. Like, what do you do, like outside of just talking, like when you do the event, but helps you like being better at your job?
Right, there's it's so boring, but
it's not.
One of the things with chat, because I'm not embedded in the parkour community, right? And the one thing I would say, while it's exciting being involved in a sport that is so new and so different, for all the benefits that brings, in that you can see it changing and evolving, and it's exciting seeing different things every time, you do not have the resources to call upon like with other sports. If I'm doing a game of football, which I don't do anymore, my girlfriend does loads of football, but she's got loads of, like an infinite number of websites and resources to call upon. There's stats, there's history, there's things written down. Same with the dance. I've got databases and databases.
It's coming for Chase Tag.
Oh yeah, it's coming. I realise it's coming, and that's down to like loads of hard work by people. But it's so new. Like, if I want to know how things went in the last tour, I can't go on Wikipedia and go and find out who went out in the semi-finals. I've got to go and like.
Can you ask ChatGPT?
Maybe ChatGPT, but that's getting all off the internet. That won't know either.
Yeah.
That won't know either. But you don't have that stuff, so I have to put in work. I have to, like, we're talking now. What time is it now? Right? It's nearly 11 o'clock, right?
We have all the time.
We've got plenty of time, but what will happen now? We're going to be in work 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the tournament starts at 2. Right? We've got loads of work to do. I'm going to go back to my room once we finish this. I'm going to spend 2 hours putting stuff together. Like, I'm going to be looking, like, trying to get things in place, because there might be something squirreled away in my head about something to say about this guy or this team or something. But unless I've ordered it in my head, I'm not going to be able to find it when I need it. And that's the thing. You can put in loads of prep and everything. That'll only help you to find that little bit of knowledge or a word or a phrase when you need it. You just got to kind of hope it turns up.
To some extent, there is no shortcut. Like, you're always thinking about it. You don't just come like at 2 for the championship at 2. You're here for the past 2 days.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think in terms of the delivery.
I'm going to change my question. I'm going to change it and make it easier. Is there a commentator in any sport that you look up to, and what do you look up to in this person?
There's loads, right? There's so many. There are plenty in football, soccer.
Soccer.
There are plenty in cricket. Is another sport that will absolutely baffle most people watching this, and indeed you guys. And there's loads of people who I even work with alongside, right? So, for example, there was a guy right in darts, the most famous darts commentator of them all. He's one of the guys who is instrumental in getting darts on the TV. He's a guy called Sid Waddell, right? He split opinion. Some people thought he was the greatest commentator that ever lived in any sport. Some people thought he was a clown, right? But he had the best lines. Like, he understood that it mattered. Sport does matter, right? But it can also be fun. And because it is just sport. That's the beauty about sport.
So you have to take it seriously,
It's
But have
serious,
fun while you do it.
but it's also not serious.
Yeah.
It's only sport, but sport matters. And that's the beauty about it. And treading that line, right, where you can appreciate that this does really matter, particularly to the guys playing it. But ultimately, we're playing a game of tag here, or we're playing a game of darts, or we're playing a game of football. It's still the game you played as a kid. It still matters. Like, that is a really difficult line to tread. But like some of the lines he came up with, which even in the greatest of circumstances, like the most important moments, they were still funny. And it showed the inherent sort of ridiculousness that we put so much importance on a silly game. But we do, because it is important. I mean, look,
to be honest, in my humble opinion, I feel like you've kind of nailed it with chase tag. And sometimes when I'm doing the editings, I'm really impressed because I feel like you are really talking about what's going on, but at the same time, the delivery is like so funny and so clever that I'm laughing and I'm like, that's
rhythm, the intonation, the tone,
and even the words plays. And
you could say anything.
I mean, I will say
the way
anything.
you deliver it is just great.
Well,
It's subjective.
Of course, it's subjective. That's the thing. You spent 2 days in a room with me. You have to be nice to me.
No, we don't. We're French. We're French. We don't.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, the famously rude French.
But I'm the famously rude.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you are. Have you eaten today? Did
No.
they? Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised you haven't just called me putain or something over the course of it. But like, there are many Sid Waddell lines, but one of the greatest ones. Young guy. Well, he was young at the time. Called Eric Bristow, one of the all-time greats at darts, won the World Championship, and he was a Geordie. He was from Newcastle, so he had a very distinctive accent as well. His line was, "When Alexander of Macedonia was 23, I think that's what he was, he cried salt tears, for there were no more worlds left to conquer. Bristol's only 22." Like that is brilliant. It's got everything. It refers to greatness. It's got some classic. You're mixing the classical and the sort of base sporting, particularly darts back then.
That's also surprising for people listening, while they may learn something, and just like
Whatever you. I think whatever you do, however you do it, if you're talking about a game, it should be clear that you care. You can acknowledge that it might be silly, it might be fun, it might be ridiculous. But if you care about it, well, basically, if you don't care about it, why should anybody else? But like when I was like sat in my house watching the darts on the telly, watching with my mates, and I hadn't managed to get on TV doing commentary there, right? I would sit there, I'd have the darts on the telly, and my housemates would be there. And I'd be sat there, and I wouldn't be commentating on it. That'd be really weird. But I'd be telling them, he needs to do this, or something about that player, or something that was of interest. And that's how I feel you should be as a Like, I should be there watching it with you and telling you something either you don't know, or that will help you understand, or just enjoying it. And if you need to either entertain people, inform people, or just shut up. Like, if you've got nothing that's gonna either entertain or inform, don't say anything at all. I mean, chase tag is 20-second chases. Like, I can tell you where he's going and there's always something going on, so that kind of takes care of it. But other than that, I mean, either say something funny or interesting, or just don't say anything at all. Like, that's basically the rule, I think. And as long as you're guided by that, if you like what you're watching, if you know about what you're watching, and you can add something to it, that's all you need to do. After that, people will make their own decisions up about whether they like it or not. As I said at the start, it's all subjective. Some people will absolutely hate what I do. But you can't live your life like...
Give us name.
I could give you loads in darts. Don't worry about that.
They are not the MVPs of judging.
Yeah. No, well, they might be according to his rules, yeah.
If we move away from like what you're saying, like, but what you're doing. If anyone wanted to work like radio, TV, commentating or anything, what would you recommend them work on? Like breathing, expressing vocabulary, theater, or like what kind of thing can help someone
Do it.
do it, gain that
Just
confidence?
do it. Just do as much as you can, right? Just make stuff. Do stuff, right? If you want to be a football, soccer commentator, right? Commentate on a game. Record yourself on your phone commentating. Listen to yourself. Like, you have to be... I learned that on the radio when I first... One of the weirdest things is hearing your own voice played back to you. If anybody's ever done it, like... It's weird, isn't it? But you've got to get past that. Once you get past that, you realise that your voice... And if you're doing stuff in front of a camera, how you use your body, everything is a tool. It is a tool in the same way that playing a musical instrument or being a chase tag athlete, your foot positioning or your speed or your strength, and they're just tools, right? You need to understand what you can do, how you can do it, and when you can assess what you can and can't do, you can work on the things that you can. And if you're good at something, great, go with it, make it even better. But you need to understand your voice is a tool, how you speak is a tool, how you move, everything about it.
You may read a book, but if you don't apply and start, like you may watch a parkour video, if you don't go out and start training, that's all useless.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that this advice could be applied to many things. Like when you start filmmaking, usually the first advice they give is grab a camera and just start filming.
Yeah,
like,
to some
do
extent,
something.
don't wait to be ready or to have the right equipment or something. Just fucking film with your phone, record with bad quality, just do it.
Do stuff. If you're doing stuff.
But if you were to give like one or two or anything, like did you read a book? Did you ever see like a video or a channel that gave you a few tips that you think would be helpful for someone that just need that little push?
Do you know what? I mean, it's not consume it. Like consume if there's something you like, if there's somebody doing stuff that you think, yeah, that's good, then watch it. What you cannot do is pretend. Don't do a bad impression of somebody else, right? You have to be yourself. Whoever you love, whatever you're doing, whether it's commentary, whether it's chase tag, whether it's anything, right? Whoever you love doing it, I want to be like that guy. You're never going to be like that guy. You're never
going to be that guy.
No. You might be similar, but you're going to be you. So you've got to look what he's doing, look if there's anything you can use. But if I'm looking at Brian Prince playing chase tag, right?
I want to play like him.
Yeah.
Even though I'm 5'2".
Yeah. Well, I might look at Brian Prince and I might look at Frank Mejia and I think both of those guys are absolutely incredible. I would love to play like them. I'm never going to play like either of them. But there might be something in their games where I can look at it and go, that's something I can use. That's something I can try.
Get inspired, copy what you can, and play to your strength.
Yeah, play. Work on your weaknesses, everything, but find out what you can do. Your body, your voice, your brain, everything is a tool, and play with it. Play with it, learn what it can do, and sometimes you'll surprise yourself at what you can do, and that's exciting. Look, you're the parkour guys. You're the ones who go out there.
I'm the chase tag guy. I'm not parkour guy.
Well, okay, yeah,
I'm out of the parkour community. I don't love parkour anymore.
But you go out there and you push yourself to limits you didn't think you could do, and then you surpass them. So that's what it's about.
If we just go to like one last question, because we probably went way over like the time we usually do.
So far over.
Yeah, but that's good because we're getting drunk. We ask everyone coming on the show, like, if you were to pick 6 athletes, anyone you want, retired or still playing, or someone that you may know that would be good in chase tag, 6 people to assemble the best team ever.
I mean, I was listening to your podcasts last night, and I was thinking, wow, I mean, if I got asked that question, that's a difficult one. And it's only today that you said, oh, we could do this, and now I haven't really thought about it. But, I mean, I've got to have Amos there. Right, and I'm not sure he's going to get on the quad that much, but the man has been single-handedly the biggest influence in how the game tactically has moved forward. It is fascinating sitting and listening to him talk about how he thinks about the game and how that has transferred to how effective a team.
I think he's been picked by everyone either as an athlete or as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, either. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to pick 6.
Yeah.
My 2 favourite players from Apex. I'm not going to pick an entire Apex team, but the 2 that I absolutely... Seth Wang is terrifying. Like, there are times when I look at him on the quad and I just think there is nothing you can do to stop that. He is
He's scary.
He's a heat-seeking missile of a man.
He may not have the best stats compared to, even to Rob Shield or something, but he's so, like, having him on the starter plate, you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same about Jason Bergeron, but then I don't know if I'm just astounded by his beauty as well.
Do you know Jason? He's Night of Flight, and he has handsome eyes.
Oh my
Beautiful
word,
eyes.
he's handsome everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why, like, I mean, I don't bring my girlfriend to Chase Tag because, like, I just feel that we would go home and she'd go, it was amazing. Like, I mean, what a sport, what an experience. But I've never felt so disappointed. Just surrounded by all these people. But they're the 3. I mean, I'd probably put Carl Soderman in there. I mean, look, everybody knows he's incredible. I got 2 spots left, and I'd want to mix it up. I think there are people who are emerging.
You've only picked Americans so far.
Yeah, I have, haven't I? Haven't I? I mean, partially because I love the name, partially because I love the story, and partially because I love him as a Chase Tag athlete. I mean, Haroon would be an option, but I wasn't going to go for Haroon. I was going to go for Augustin Chiavaldini. I mean, there are so many of the French guys I could pick, but he's one I fell in love with immediately as an athlete when I first turned up. And then, as we've already covered, like that story of the first Chase Tag, I just think, I mean, I don't think it's any consolation to him that I've picked him in my team, but there we go. There's a little olive branch for him. And because I feel I've got a lot of making up to do, Greg Ball. Yeah, so there you go. Ignore all the other stuff.
So you get 2 strategists like Amos and Greg working together or showing their strategies with Dick.
Yeah. Exactly that. But look, that's a team, man.
All right. Thanks. That's a wrap, I think. Thank you very much. We've all finished our drinks.
There are more coming, don't worry.
I'm not sure I have anything else to add. I would say thank you for your time. Thank you for being you. And no matter what you think, you're still kind of the MVP of every event for me. And I
you know
don't
what?
think
You're
it
not
will
the
change.
MVP. You're the GOAT.
Oh, we've not used that one before. Well,
Much better.
I'm
better.
I was thinking about what you were saying. Like, how do you end? Like, you close it. Like, Alexander the Great. I was like, I'm gonna keep. You're not the MVP. You're the GOAT.
That's nice. I mean, you should leave it there, but I'm still talking over the end of it. I mean, you can edit this out, but I'm really going to make the end of this podcast a mess.
Thank you.